This is a video record of our trip to Oahu from August 5th to August 12th, 2021. This is part 2, which describes the second half of the trip from August 9th through August 12th. The pandemic had forced the price of rental cars up and their availability down. It was for this reason that we decided to only rent a car for 2 of the 7 days on Oahu. Today, August 9th, will be the first of those 2 days. We began this day with a hearty breakfast at the shore. After breakfast, we went down to the car rental office, which was conveniently located in the Hyatt. The only problem with this rental office was that it closed at 3 o'clock. Before we left, they explained how to return the car after 3, but the process was convoluted and laced with liability for me if not followed to the letter. I did the paperwork, and by 8:30 we were off in a black Chevrolet Impala to explore the island. As we drove towards the freeway, Robin noticed the condo building in which her Aunt Lucille and Uncle Herman had lived in the 1970s and 80s after moving from the mainland. From the Hyatt, we drove west about 4 miles to the National Memorial Cemetery of the Pacific, more commonly referred to as the Punch Bowl. The cemetery sits inside this extinct volcano and gets its nickname from the shape of the volcano. The Punch Bowl was created after World War II as the resting place for the military personnel killed during that conflict. It has subsequently been the burial place for military killed in Korea and Vietnam. We drove in and parked near this point. Then we walked from our car and up this incline. As you walk up the incline, you see numerous plaques placed there to honor specific military actions or groups. At the top of the incline, you are rewarded with a breathtaking view of Waikiki and Honolulu. From here you can see the freeway we used to get to the Punch Bowl. From here you can even see the twin towers of the Hyatt. Can you see them? There they are. The best words to describe the Punch Bowl would have to be lush, green, very peaceful. The most important part of the Punch Bowl is called the Court of Honor. Before reaching the court, there is a flagpole with a flag permanently at half-staff. As you walk towards the main section of the court, the first thing you see is this marble dedication. The gardens to which the dedication refers is also called the Court of the Missing. This consists of 2 rows of large granite blocks on either side of the steps. The names of the military personnel whose remains were never found are carved upon those blocks. Walking up to the first landing and turning around, you can see the flagpole in the distance and the back of the dedication we just saw. From here you can see a close-up of one of the granite blocks. These are some of the names of those missing in action. At the top of the stairs is the statue of Lady Liberty. We were told that she represents all the grieving mothers of America. She stands on the bow of a ship while holding a laurel branch. From the Court of Honor, we started back to our car. I stopped for a few minutes to find examples of tombstones from December 7, 1941, the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. Many of the men killed on the battleships Arizona and Oklahoma that day were never identified. We left the Punch Bowl and started towards our next destination. We drove about 12 miles north and arrived at the Byodo Inn Temple. This is a replica of the 950-year-old Byodo Inn Temple in Uji, Japan. The replica was built in 1968. The inside of the temple contains one large room in which this statue of Buddha rests. We have visited the Byodo Inn many times over the years and never tire of seeing the beauty of this idyllic place. This is the back side of the temple. To the left is the little gift shop which sells, among other things, bags of feed for the fish and the birds. It's really amazing that the fish are not fatter because people feed them all day. Of course, Robin always gets a couple of bags and enjoys watching the fish fight over her handfuls of feed. The fish are so hungry that they almost come out of the water to get some of the feed. The birds, on the other hand, are content to salvage whatever bits of feed that don't make it to the fish. Later, Robin tried her hand, wink wink, at feeding the birds. By this time you may have started to wonder what that bell sound is. Well, it's a bell located near the entrance that people can strike for good luck. Here is an unrehearsed example of the process. After spending an hour or so at the Byodo Inn, we left and drove north for about an hour. For this trip, I had planned to stop at 4 beaches on the north shore. The first was supposed to be Kavila Bay Beach, but because of a lack of street signs to indicate specific beaches, I took Robin to Kavila Beach by mistake. This was unfortunate because Kavila Bay Beach is prettier and cleaner than Kavila Beach. Well, as they say, live and learn. Our second planned destination was Ihukai Beach. This was an excellent beach with a restroom and a shower. None of the North Shore beaches have any crowds to speak of, which is a result of being so far from the center of action, Honolulu and Waikiki. After Ihukai Beach, we drove a little further to Kiliki Beach. This was an absolutely gorgeous beach, and even though this was the North Shore, we were shocked that there were so few people enjoying it. After seeing Kiliki Beach, we drove next to Three Tables Beach. Compared with the other beaches, Three Tables was relatively small. This time, however, it was understandable why there were so few people. Swimming there is dangerous. There was one more beach that we had intended to see, Laniakea Beach. That beach is famous for the sea turtles that come ashore there to sun themselves. We had been there once before and had seen turtles. Robin was adamant that she wanted to stop there again. But when we arrived, there was a traffic jam for a couple of miles in both directions. That, combined with the fact that all parking was spoken for, prevented me from stopping. It was like everyone on the island was trying to stop there. I was forced to bypass Laniakea and continue on to the little town of Haleiwa. Robin was extremely disappointed and upset. We hadn't had lunch, so we stopped at one of the nicer restaurants in Haleiwa called the Beach House. They were crowded and there would be a 1-hour wait to be seated. We were both too aggravated to wait, so we had lunch at the local McDonald's. A real downer. By this time it was after 3 o'clock, which meant that the car rental office was closed. I started to worry about the car return process. I knew the traffic on the freeway was going to be stop and go as we neared Honolulu, so I decided to take a shortcut that I had never taken before. Part of the shortcut went under the freeway for a couple of miles. Even though the traffic was lighter than it would have been on the freeway, and even though I navigated the shortcut successfully, the drive was still stressful. As planned, we stopped at the Ala Moana shopping center at the end of our drive. We parked, then we started into the mall, and I noticed a pain in my left foot. A quick stop revealed that the skin on one of my toes had been rubbed raw from walking on the sand that day. More stress. My limited mobility forced us to confine our shopping to this Hilo Hattie store where Robin bought Clark a shirt. Next, we couldn't find our car in the parking lot and had to walk around and around, which aggravated my hurt toe. More stress. We eventually found the car. I drove to the hotel, dropped off Robin, and went looking for a gas station. After I got gas, I checked my instructions for dropping off the car. I had to find a local parking structure and drive to the top floor. Then I had to walk down 3 floors where I found a key drop box. On the drop box was this comforting little message. Yep, you guessed it. More stress. Through a series of mistakes and misunderstandings, I ended up making 3 more round trips to and from the car until I finally did everything to complete the process. More stress! Of course, by now my blood pressure was sky high and my toe was killing me. I limped back to the hotel and was only partly surprised that my heart rate refused to go down for the rest of the evening. Robin volunteered to go out and bring back some sandwiches from the ABC store, which substituted for a dinner. After that, Robin said she wanted to go swimming. I was still getting over my stress, so I went down with her and took pictures of her in the water and of the sunset that night. When we returned to the hotel, Robin was still upset about missing the turtles. So I told her that we could return for a second try in 2 days, which was our next planned car rental day. She instantly cheered up and we spent the rest of the evening in our room. The next day, August 10th, started quiet and peaceful with breakfast at the Shore restaurant. After the busy previous day and night, Robin and I needed some rest and relaxation. The hotel had beach chairs that we could borrow, so we took those down to the shaded area near the banyan tree outside the hotel and did some people watching. Later, we walked down to a restaurant that was originally a Denny's. The restaurant, now called Lulu's, is up one flight of stairs. They set us at a small counter by the front windows, which gave us a great view of the Waikiki Pier we had visited on our zoo day. We both ordered a Caesar salad. We spent most of the rest of the day in and around the hotel. That night, we went to an upscale Italian restaurant called Il Lupino for dinner. As usual, we sat outside, this time within inside of the Royal Hawaiian Hotel, the pink building in the background. We both had pizza. To our surprise, it was not as good as we had hoped and expected. The restaurant was just a few steps from the Royal Hawaiian Shopping Center. The shopping center sponsors nightly local entertainment of authentic Hawaiian song and dance, which we watched after dinner. Later, we returned to the Moana Surf Rider Hotel and sat in rocking chairs on the porch before returning to the Hyatt. August 11th was the second and final day I had reserved a rental car. I had planned to drive us over to the east side of the island, aka the windward side, to explore its beaches. But, as I had promised Robin, today we would be retracing our journey from 2 days earlier so that she could visit Laniakea Beach, home of the sea turtles. This would give us the extra time to improvise, stopping at any location that looked promising and/or interesting. Unlike our other car excursion, Robin used this opportunity to take pictures of the scenery we traveled past driving up to the North Shore. We stopped first at Pupukia Beach. We had seen Pupukia on our trip 2 days before, but had been unable to visit it, so this time we decided to check it out. This was truly a tide pool paradise. By now it was lunchtime, so we stopped at this Foodland supermarket and bought ready-made sandwiches, drinks, and desserts. We continued driving until we reached Laniakea Beach, where we quickly found a place to park. We ate our lunch sitting in the car, then we walked to the beach. Unfortunately, there were no turtles that day. Robin was disappointed, but she did not let the experience dampen her spirits. We started back to Honolulu, but before we returned the car, I had one more place that I wanted to take Robin. It was in the hills above Honolulu, less than 2 miles from the Punch Bowl. I would need 20 or more tries to pronounce the name, so I won't even try, but suffice it to say it is the most famous of the Oahu lookout points. I was relieved that we hadn't missed this amazing place. After we left the lookout, we drove back to our hotel, but this time we arrived before the rental garage closed, so there was no hassle in the process. For the final dinner of our trip, we decided on the Hard Rock Cafe. We chose to sit in the outside but covered part of the restaurant. I decided to go semi-healthy and have a steak salad, and Robin went all out with a hamburger. After dinner, we walked back to the Royal Hawaiian Shopping Center to take in the music and dance show again. Later, we walked back to the beach in front of the hotel, and Robin got the following videos of the sunset. This little boat is called a catamaran. In the evenings, people can ride out on the catamaran and watch the sunset. The next day, August 12th, we had to wake up at 5 o'clock because our flight back to LA left at 8 o'clock in the morning. The shore restaurant didn't open until 6 o'clock, so we were not able to get breakfast before we left. At 6 o'clock, we took our luggage downstairs and caught a taxi in front of the Hyatt. It only took about 40 minutes and cost $39. After checking in, we went to the boarding area, but for the first half an hour, we were the only ones there. We boarded our plane, which left right on time. The flight took us over Maui before heading out over the ocean. A little over 5 hours later, we caught our first sight of land, but oddly, it was Oxnard, which is 50 miles northwest of LAX. I couldn't imagine why we had been directed so far out of our way. About 15 minutes later, I started to see LA landmarks. This is the newly constructed SoFi Stadium, named after a finance company of the same name. For the next few minutes, it was just a matter of making the necessary turns to line up for a landing at LAX. There's downtown LA in the distance.